Hello, welcome to another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace reporting live here at Joe's Pub here in New York City. Pianist, vocalist, as well as composer Davell Crawford tonight is performing selections off his brand new record, My Gift to You, and this is his first album that he's recorded in 14 years. Now, the brother's been very, very busy touring both here as well as overseas, but this album is really a myriad of his upbringing growing up in New Orleans by way of Lafayette, Louisiana. In fact, the album has dynamic special guests ranging from Bobbi Humphrey, Dr. John, Donald Harrison, Nicholas Payton, the list goes on and on. We sat down earlier and we talked about why it took him 14 years to put this project out. Also, we talked about his upbringing in the church as well as his upbringing learning the rudiments of stride piano through Professor Longhair and James Booker. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the sounds of Davell Crawford live here at Joe's Pub here in New York City. About why it took 14 years to put this project together, and also putting this album together. How did you kind of put these musicians on these different tracks?
Well, it's not complicated. I just didn't feel like being in the public eye. You know, I wanted to teach school, give back to my community for years, and I did. I was a little tired. You know, I'd been working since I was 7 years old as a professional musician. And I traveled a lot. So, you know, by the time I was 17, when I put my first record out, I was tired. I was 10 years into the business of playing at nights and traveling, you know, and even playing in churches. And I think we all need a break. I didn't think I would take a 14-year break. I said 10. Surely from recording, you know. We all evolve, and I wanted the listener and the audience to see and hear that and be able to experience that without me forcing it upon them, you know. So I think, you know, if you buy my earlier records, I was in a certain place, and this record, I'm in a different place, but it's still the same, you know. I'm still taking elements from the past, and that's my foundation, you know. Yeah.
You know, you really come out of the gate on some of these songs, and you bring new interpretations to some classics like Louisiana, Sunday Afternoon, and then you do Fire and Rain. And what made you go out into the vault and get these songs and do them in your swag?
Well, these are songs I grew up listening to on the radio. My grandmother raised me, and she was a contemporary lady, you know. And when I was a kid, Diane Shore had Louisiana Sunday Afternoon with Dave Grusin. It was a hit. It was a radio hit, and I didn't know she was such a great piano player, you know. But I liked the groove. Fire and Rain. Wow. James Taylor. The voice just made me cry when I was a kid. John Denver's voice made me cry. I was 3 years old and I can remember this. So these songs have been, you know, they're part of my fabric, they're part of me. I sat at the piano and said, okay, I think I should record this, and that's that, you know, and this is how I should do it, you know, something pleasing to the listener. And I also wanted to remind the people, like people my age and a little, you know, wiser than I am, of these songs, and then teach the younger generation about these songs. Yeah.
You know, you and Dr. John go in hard on this whole thing with New Orleans, and I think one of the things that I really that sticks out on the track of you and Dr. John is the fact that you are home, you are paying homage to the great rich music tradition of New Orleans.
Oh yeah, I mean, everything I play, the foundation of it is New Orleans for me, and even beyond that, everything I play, the foundation is spiritual music for me. Every and anything. And I think that'll always be, you know. If you've ever been down to New Orleans, no matter what, once you drink the water, and once you eat a beignet, and once you have a cafe au lait, once you hear the brass bands, the guys in the streets, once this happens to you, it will never leave. It's kind of like going to Bahia, you see. Once you've been to Bahia, the rhythms and the rhymes and the way they cook and eat, and it never leaves you. And New Orleans is like that. Yeah. It's a simple situation. People think it's complicated. Just get on a plane and get down there and spend some time, you know, and then go back to wherever you're from and do whatever you were doing before. And you will have a whole new outlook on things, a different outlook on things. Yeah, that's the way I look at it, especially an artist.
Thank you.
from New Orleans by way of Lafayette, Louisiana, and I understand as a child you went backwards learning the American roots music. I understand that you listened to country music and Zydeco before you started learning jazz.
Yeah, country music and Zydeco, Fedodo. Ray Charles, there was an album called True to Life, which is probably still my favorite Ray Charles album. I was 2 when that record came out. Crystal Gale had a record, I think it was Kezia Songbird. Kenny Rogers and Dottie West had a duet album with a lot. And you can put those songs on now, or that album, and I know everything. I know the bell. I know everything. All the arrangements. And Zydeco obviously was just so vibrant, and still is, in Southwest Louisiana and Lafayette, and Karen Crow, Mamou, St. Martinville, all my family, Youngsville's from there. You couldn't help but enjoy it and learn how to Zydeco, learn how to two-step, that's kind of like a waltz, to a Fedodo. And later on, I learned the New Orleans songbook for Professor Longhair and James Booker. I was already a professional musician by the time I learned that music. And
tell me about your psyche, the beginning of the piano, because that's a major part of Davell Crawford in his musicianship and what he does on stage.
The piano just happened. It was probably going to be the clarinet, saxophone. I played clarinet, so I understand that instrument, and saxophone. I understand the saxophone. The piano. I made $7.39 first time, and after that I said, okay, well this is what's I'm gonna have to play this instrument. I always could play it. The organ I always could play. So it's very much a part of who I am, now. It's very much a part of New Orleans and Louisiana and roots music. And I know it's my job to keep the piano out front. I get a lot of flack for that because I don't want to appear places where there's no grand piano, and I won't do it. Every now and then, I guess, but I won't do it because I believe that's a dying. People need to see the grand piano, hear it, in tune, out of tune, all that comes with that. Young people need to hear this instrument, see the instrument. Thanks to Alicia Keys and John Legend, over the last few years, they've put the grand piano back center stage, and now Aretha's playing the piano again. The Queen, she's sitting at the grand piano and playing. Of course, my godmother, who was here tonight, she doesn't perform without having the grand piano, Dr. John. And I was taught as a young man from people like Roberta and Dr. John and so many others, Little Richard, Fats Domino. They made me understand that it's my responsibility, as Davell Crawford, to showcase this instrument and be true to the instrument and be true to roots music, So yeah, it's kind of what I'm doing, what I'm trying to do. Yeah.
Davell, we're about the same age, give or take a couple. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Well.
And you and I grew up on pretty much a lot of the same music: hip hop, jazz, soul, and gospel.
Right.
What is it about jazz, especially Zydeco music, that's not being commercially put out to the public anymore? And you're bringing it back because you're fusing a little bit of the whole New Orleans mix. But why is that?
I think it has something to do with the record company. It had something to do with the record companies in the beginning, and I believe that if you force feed people, you know, kind of like what's going on now with the music. You hear a song by some artist and you don't really like it. You hear it again later on in the same day, you don't really like it. The next day you hear it driving to work and now you're singing and humming the melody, you know. 3 weeks later, you've got the album. You're downloading it, you know. I believe we have to do that now. Unfortunately, I believe it's the job of the DJs, the radio stations, to force feed roots music to the younger people. When they see me, when they hear me, and not only me, Rochelle Farrell, and I mean so many others, they fall in love with this kind of music. But if they knew nothing about it prior to them seeing me or other roots artists, you know, it could fall by the wayside, you know, and that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Lots of jazz musicians and blues musicians. The blues is something, huh? How about that? Like, how about that, huh? Like Dr. John. Well, how about that? The blues is something. Everything must change. And nothing stays the same. And everyone must change. No one stays the same. They are becoming
Davell Crawford, what does soul music mean to you?
True music. Now that's easy. Yeah. That's easy. It's the truth. Yeah. It comes from the soul. It's the truth. For me, I can't say anything more. Soul music is the truth for me. I'm a true artist, and everything I do comes from my soul, you know. I don't move without listening to my soul. I don't, in the mornings. I don't care if I'm late for something. I do, a little bit. You know, I don't move without listening to my soul. That's important. I don't sing without listening to my soul. I don't play a song or pick material without listening to my soul. I trust my soul. I trust what I've been given. Sometimes people around me don't trust it, but that's their problem, and I think they've got to get over it, you know, sooner or later. But I trust that. I'm aware. I know the voice. And in music, I know that this is what it is. It's the same voice. It's the truth. That's what soul music is to me. Yeah.
That'll do it again for another edition of the Pace Report. Reporting live here at Joe's Pub here in New York City. I'd like to personally thank the talented Davell Crawford for his time, as well as the staff and management here at Joe's Pub here in New York City. As always, please visit my website, www.thepacereport.com, for my weekly column as well as my past segments. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, to make you move. Till next time, peace.
Comes home. Dream love.